Hey everybody, Adam here with Hometown Acres. Welcome back. Today I want to talk about what it's actually like heating with firewood and exactly how much it costs. There's a lot of us firewood YouTube channels out there and we all like to talk about how much we enjoy cutting, splitting, stacking, and heating with firewood and the sense of satisfaction you get from providing your own heat and not having to pay the man. But I think there's a big misconception out there that heating with firewood is cheaper than it is to pay a heating bill. And in some circumstances, I think that's true, but I also think there's some circumstances where people are actually lying to themselves thinking that they're saving money by heating with wood when in all reality, it's actually costing them more. So today, I want to dive into the numbers and show you exactly how much it costs to heat with firewood. So there are so many variables to discuss when talking about heating with firewood, but I think the first decision you have to make when you decide to heat with wood is, are you going to make your own firewood or are you going to buy your firewood? If you're gonna buy your firewood, the formula to figure that out is pretty simple. Just multiply the number of cords you think you're gonna burn for the year times whatever your purchase price is, and that's how much you'll spend for a full winter's worth of heat. How many cords of wood you'll burn a year will largely depend on your wood burning appliance. Like out here in the garage, we have this freestanding wood stove. In our living room, we have a fireplace insert, which is essentially the same thing, but it has a nice shroud that makes it look nice sitting back in an existing fireplace. And then you step into things like an outdoor wood boiler or an indoor wood boiler. I can speak from experience that in our house, our 2,200 square foot house, our fireplace insert will heat our house 100% on 2 to 4 cords of wood a year, all the way until we get down to about 15 degrees or below. At that point, the house, we're no longer able to keep it at 70, 72 that we like with 2 young children at home. It'll start dipping down into 68, 65 degrees. And at that point, we will start supplementing with our natural gas boiler. But that still gets probably 90 to 95% of our heat for our home for the winter with just a little bit of supplement with natural gas. Then you step into an outdoor wood boiler and you go from burning 2 to 4 cords a year, depending on the severity of the winter, to 10 to 12 cords of wood a year is what I seem to find as the natural consensus on the internet of people with outdoor wood boilers. And if you've ever cut and split a cord of firewood, 10 to 12 cords is a lot of firewood. Now, you do get a benefit with that though. Outdoor wood boilers can take big nasty wood. You can take tree stumps, ugly offcuts, big knot pieces that you couldn't split with a splitter, throw them in there and they'll burn. So you don't have to be quite so selective as you do with these. These indoor wood stoves, they really like nice, straight 16-inch pieces. It's got to be super dry. And yeah, the indoor wood stoves, they're just a little bit more picky with the material you put in them. And with that comes an increased cost in the firewood as well. Usually boiler wood is a lot cheaper. Nicer, more premium firewood that goes in these wood stoves is a little bit more expensive. Another benefit to outdoor wood boilers is they will also run your domestic hot water. So now you don't really need a hot water tank anymore. You've got your hot water for your showers, laundry, dishwasher, sinks. All of that is now covered by one heating appliance. So around here you can buy a full cord of good quality seasoned firewood for anywhere from about $350 to $400. And let's say it's worst case scenario, it's a really harsh winter. You're gonna burn 4 cords of wood in your wood stove insert. And at $400 a cord, that's going to run you about $1,600 for a full winter's worth of heat. Now, a boiler, on the other hand, like I said, the material's a little bit cheaper, but you're going to burn a lot more of it. So around here, you can get boiler wood for about $200 a cord. And if you're going to burn 12 of those, I've got some notes here. At $200 a cord for 12, that's going to be about $2,400. So it is more expensive to heat with a boiler, but like I said, you're also covering your hot water needs as well. Okay, so that covers if you're going to buy your firewood. Now let's talk about what happens if you're going to make your firewood. I've actually done a separate video on this topic covering what our cost is to make 1 cord of firewood given our equipment mix. If you don't already know, we have a Hyundai mini excavator that we use for lifting the logs up and cutting them off the ground and moving material. We have a Yappa firewood processor that cuts, splits, and has an outfeed conveyor on it that loads it into a dump trailer. We have the dump trailer, and then we also have a Coyote CK3510 tractor with a log grapple on it that helps us moving material around, and with pallet forks it helps us to move our firewood baskets around. And we also have our Easton made axis that helps us take any bigger splits off of the conveyor and re-splits them down into smaller stuff that runs better in this wood stove here behind me. With that equipment mix, I can make a cord of high quality firewood in about 3 hours of my time and $167 of cost. And that includes the cost of the firewood poles. I'm buying logs from a logger, and the equipment depreciation, fuel expense, and all the other miscellaneous overhead that goes into a firewood business. So if I had to assign a dollar figure to those 3 hours worth of labor, I'd say if I was going to pay somebody to do it, I think that's the best way to determine what the cost should be. I'd probably pay somebody $20 an hour times 3. That's $60 an hour in labor and $167 in cost. So $227 for a cord of firewood is my cost to make it versus buying it for $350 to $400. If you multiply that by a really harsh winter, we're going to burn 4 cords. That would be $908 for me to heat my home with 4 cords of firewood with a wood stove insert. Now let's talk about the cost to make boiler wood. Obviously, if it costs $227 to make nice, pretty looking firewood that goes in these wood stoves, boiler wood should be a lot cheaper because you're not going to be making as many cuts with the chainsaw. Your splitter is not going to be cycling as many times. So you're going to have a lot of savings in time and labor, as well as wear and tear on your equipment. So if it costs us $227 to make nice, pretty firewood, boiler wood, let's say it's $140 in logs, if you're buying triaxle loads worth of firewood poles, and then maybe it's only going to take an hour to make a cord of boiler wood because really you might not even be splitting a lot of this stuff. You might just be cutting it. So let's say 1 hour at a rate of $20. That's $140 in logs, $20 in labor, $160 a cord to make boiler wood. And if you multiply that by 12 cords for a really harsh winter, that's about $1,920 to heat your house and provide all of your hot water needs. $1,920. Okay, so now we have a rough idea of what a winter's worth of firewood for an indoor wood stove or an outdoor wood boiler costs to buy and make. Like I said, buying wood for a wood stove costs about $1,600. Buying wood for a boiler costs $2,400. Making wood for a wood stove costs $908, and making wood for a boiler costs about $1,920 for an entire winter's worth of wood. Now let's talk about what it costs to pay the man to heat your house for an entire winter, taking into account the rising costs of fuel prices this year. So according to the National Energy Assistance Directors Association estimates for the 2022-2023 winter, the cost to heat your home for the full winter are as follows. Natural gas would be $931, electricity would be $1,359, propane would be $1,668, and heating oil would be $2,354. Again, those are national averages. So obviously if you live in northern climates, it's going to be a little bit more than that. Southern climates a little bit less. Based on these numbers, I would say that the biggest thing in determining whether firewood is going to be more expensive or less expensive than just paying the man would be what access do you have to public utilities. If you have access to natural gas, chances are natural gas is going to be cheaper than making your own firewood or especially buying your own firewood. Now you may have noticed I alluded to the fact that we have a natural gas boiler, so what the heck are we doing making firewood and spending all this time? Well, according to the national average, it should cost us roughly $931 to heat our home for the winter. And in making our own firewood, it costs us about $908 per my calculations. So it's basically a wash in our situation, natural gas or firewood. But there's more that goes into it than just money. I actually really enjoy heating with firewood. It makes the house feel cozier. It's a nice ambiance in the living room in the evenings when we are watching TV before bed. And there is something about that self-satisfaction, that self-reliance that you provided this for yourself. And as you approach winter in the fall, you put your wood up for the winter in the woodshed or wherever you store it before you burn it. and you know you've got money sitting in the bank there. You've got $1,000 or $1,500 worth of firewood there ready to go. No matter what happens with the economy, if fuel prices spike or whatever, you have that heat ready to go to heat your home, and nobody can take that away from you. But if you live out in the boonies and you only have access to propane or heating oil, yeah, you can probably save a bunch of money by heating with firewood. But I also think there's people on the other end of the spectrum who have access to natural gas, but they're fooling themselves by thinking that they're saving money by heating with an outdoor wood boiler and 12 cords of firewood a year, especially if they're buying it and not making it. So that covers the cost comparison between paying the man, buying firewood, and making firewood. Now I want to talk about some other things that are worth mentioning if you're considering starting to heat your home with firewood. And the first one is insurance. Some areas of the country, insurance companies will not touch a house that has a wood burning insert or wood stove, or, I mean, if you have an outdoor wood boiler, that shouldn't be a problem because that's far enough away from your house it wouldn't cause a house fire. But that is definitely a concern. Some areas of the country, they will cover you, and some areas they won't. Another thing to consider is if you are going to heat your house with wood, it pretty much ties you to your house for the entirety of the winter. Don't think that you're going to pack up and go to Florida in January for a week, because if your fire goes out, your heat's gone, your pipes are going to freeze, and you're going to come home to a mess, unless you have another supplemental heat source. And that's the next thing I want to talk about is even adding a wood stove, you still are probably going to want a supplemental heat source. Like I said, our wood stove insert heats our house all the way down to about 15 degrees. After that, we run the wood stove and a little bit of natural gas just to add some supplemental heat. But if we ever leave, we have our natural gas boiler that can heat the house while we're gone. So really, you do end up having twice the investment in heating appliances, and these wood burning appliances are not cheap. This wood stove here was about $1,000 from Home Depot. This is one of the cheaper wood stoves you can get. Our fireplace insert inside the house was about $3,500, $4,000, and I've seen them go up to $5,000 or $6,000 for really nice, high quality wood burning wood stoves. And then when you step into the outdoor wood boilers, those things are really expensive. You're looking at $8,000 to $14,000 for outdoor wood boilers. So, you know, when you talk about either having a natural gas boiler or your electric baseboard heat or whatever other form of heat that you already have in your house, you're just talking about an incremental, big upfront cost to get these wood boilers or wood stoves set up in your house. So now let's talk about another thing that we do here, which is selling firewood. Selling firewood can often help offset the cost of you to heat your home. In some cases, you can completely negate the cost of heating your home or even make a profit on it as well. So let's say you buy a log truck that comes with 6 cords of firewood on it, and you're going to burn 4 of those for yourself. Well, you have 2 extra that you can make and sell and help offset the cost of the log truck, help offset some of the cost of the equipment you have to make the firewood. And it just is kind of a win-win, and definitely something worth mentioning. If you're getting into firewood, I would highly recommend making more than what you need. If you don't end up selling it, then you just have it for next year. It doesn't go bad quickly. Really, wood isn't going to start getting punky for a few years, so you'd have it for multiple seasons, especially if you stack it and keep it dry. Another thing I assumed in all of my cost calculations is that you are buying triaxle loads of firewood poles, which I know not everybody does. We didn't used to do that. I used to get all of my firewood from tree service companies. Back in our woods here, we have 44 acres, 30 of it is wooded, and scavenging on Facebook Marketplace and Craigslist. And I know a lot of you do that. And while doing that, the wood is free. It is a lot more time consuming. So you're saving money, but you're investing more time into that firewood. So you kind of have to play with the numbers there and see which is more advantageous, getting the wood for free or paying for logs and getting to the finished product a lot quicker. So with all that said, I know there's a million different situations and circumstances out there, and I can't possibly cover every scenario in this video, but I would love to hear from you in the comments down below. Do you think heating with firewood saves you money? If you guys enjoyed this one, give me a big thumbs up, click that subscribe button, and we'll catch you on the next one. Thanks for watching.